our leaders ourselves in eating right to live. Dr. Chancellor Williams, Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. Scobie, Dr. Clark, Brother Edward Davis, Kwame Toure, Brother Roy Canton, all died of health-related problems. We're trying to save Dr. Ben and Dr. Simmons. With that, give Brother Phil Valentine a black hand.
Thank you very much, Brother Big Man and Grassroots Productions. Again, I'm very happy to be here. I'm thankful that the series goes on and that we have the discipline to continue attending. I look around every day and I see a complete deterioration in the Negroid strain, and very few of the elevated, ascended, corporeal ancestors who still walk with us know what the deal is. Like brother just came up and said, it's 99, time to shine. And I'm going to dedicate the next 3 of my lectures to the principles of health. A lot of you do not know me past, say, 10 years ago. And that essentially was what I was about, totally, unequivocally. Nothing more than the health situation, the metaphysics of health, how health is supposed to work and interface with environment, community, culture. I kind of deterred and detoured because everybody got into the metaphysics half and wanted to get deeper into that. So I had to go into my stash and begin bringing back out studies that I've done a long time privately. Now I found out they were the big things. So I deviated into the higher metaphysics, the mind control, the whole 9 yards. Before I go on, or I go forward with this, I'd first like to clear a few things up. The last time I came to support and to bear witness to Brother D. Bernardo. And he gave a wonderful lecture on the Y2K situation. And then as I was leaving, we were leaving prematurely, I guess before the question and answer period, brother invited me up and, was very sweet to, acknowledge me as being the first to bring him. And then brother said something that was a little curious, and I wanted to just kind of set the record straight. He said something to the effect that, well, brother has contributed a lot to the cause, and even though he's doing bad, but, you don't want to interfere because brother, had the podium and you want to back off and then just kind of, talk about it afterwards. First of all, let me have it clear that when that tape comes out on the Y2K, I want it very clear that Brother Valentine is not doing bad, okay? I may not be doing what I want to do. I may not have what I want to have, but I'm not doing bad. It ain't like I'm on the cheese line, and it ain't like I'm living, thank God, in a homeless shelter. I'm fine. I want to let everybody know, it's work. When you're a revolutionary and you've given up pursuit of the dollar for the purpose of self-aggrandizement, it's work, man, it's work. There's very few people that actually look the part of revolutionaries. Holes at the bottom of their shoes. All the people that you see walking around with the ties and the Gucci suits, they ain't revolutionaries no more. They're accommodationalists now. And when you can get niggas like, house niggas like Jesse Jackson talking about, oh, we've gone from a crucifixion to a resurrection, and then afterwards, maybe not even a month later, 2 months later, 41 shots brings down and crucifies another man. So how many more of these niggas are going to push up to the television until people begin to see, hey, come on. It ain't real. He even looks like he didn't really mean what he said, like somebody told him. Like the bug in his head was giving transmissions and he had to say it at the time. The other thing is, next month, if I am invited back, which is March, I hope to be focusing on women's health exclusively. I haven't brought the controversy to the sisters in a long time. And I had some very good running pitch battles with feminists that I kind of miss, because after they come in looking like Hulk Hogan, they go out looking like Walter Mitty. Because essentially I use men as the analogy because that's what they want to be. So I figured Hulk Hogan would be right where they want to be recognized. Brother had given you the title to have to deal with our brothers, our elders, our holy men and holy women who have been in the revolution and have been doing the work to set the groundwork for us to be doing the things that we're doing, to start the new groundswell, which is right here. I'd rather be here than in front of 1,000, 10,000 people talking a lot of nonsense. But I'm going to change the title to specifically encompass what is going to end up being a series, hopefully, of tapes dealing specifically with health on all levels. Right now, we're going to deal with what I call holistic health. And if you see the way it's spelled, you'd understand what I mean. Holistic health, New Age fraud, and the deception of alternative medicine. Herbal delusions and vitamin lies. Now, when Brother Big Man and I discussed what the next topic would have been, I went into my stash, which is essentially now all stocked up inside of a storage, and I began pulling out all of the stuff I used to teach and study a long time ago, and one thing happened. It was like a revelation. I have strayed so far from the path that I had been accustomed to being on that I really didn't know how far I strayed. And being reintroduced to this was just brand new. It was almost how good you feel. Sometimes you get so caught up just saying the things that you know people need to hear over and over again because people are just suffering from the same thing. Just different versions and different expressions. That you forget that, hey, you know, this thing is real. It's, what do you call it? I don't feel sick. I don't feel like I know what I could feel, but I'm not sick. But I know how I could feel, you see. So what I wanted to do was to dedicate this time, these next couple of videos, specifically to, you know, my thing, which is talking about health. And I expect you all to be coming at me with the questions that's going to make this tape, chock this tape, to stuff this tape full of information so that I don't have to repeat myself. Now, I want to first give another recognition, everybody, to a person, to me, a celebrity, somebody who's been doing the work quietly inside of the halls of the beast. And soon, when she does receive certain types of paperwork necessary for her to come out of the cocoon that she's in, then we're going to see the kind of ballistics she has for us. Ladies and gentlemen, acknowledgement for Dr. Ann Brown, please. I'm going to be touching certain things, talking about certain things that is not going to make people happy, especially people who are in the alternative healing community, people who have adopted and adapted the product-pushing, commercialized formats of Western medicine, the Western medical church, doctors who putting out pamphlets in holistic health or whole stores, doctors with MDs and physicians now seeing the light, heretics from the mother church, the mother medical church, talking about how you can naturally do what their mother church has been telling you to do through drugs. But what you don't realize is that all they are doing is just simply pushing another form of drugs on you. And then I know all my brothers and sisters who make dollars off of being vitamin and herbal pushers in our community are not going to like it. They didn't like it 10 years ago when I said it. I pulled back. Everybody was fine because I wasn't fired up at talking about it. But I'm back. I'm back because here we are. Millennium time for them. But millennium time, if you want to believe that. And it goes, well, first of all, let me say this. At the end of it, for those who wish to deal with health and references, and want to make that segue from, the pork fried rice and Mickey D's, I've put together these 2 folios, and it's donation. There's a suggested price for each, and we'll talk about it over there. But this is an extrapolation from my book that I'm writing called Neogenesis. And I call this particular extrapolation The Sacred Principles of Health, a discourse on the ways of intelligent eating. It's simply my knowledge and what I have learned from the hygienic scientific system of eating and the ways of being, and how to segue yourself out of the pollution that you're eating into a more vital and ital way of living. Here you have the breakdown of the different proteins and where you can find the so-called vitamins in all the foods. So they tell you that you're deficient in specific things, then these particular foods are broken down in such a way so you can know them. As far as the amino acids, how you can get them in the raw foods as well. They're all here. This would be like a little manual you could put on your fridge, and you'll know how to eat a little bit better. All right. The first thing we must realize is that disease is not bad. You have been hypnotized into believing that the fragmented purview of the medical church makes you believe that you're being attacked on all fronts by different types of bugs, germs, viruses that express themselves in the body as asthma, as fibroid tumors, as cancer. There is no such thing as disease. There is no such thing as asthma, as hepatitis. All these essentially are labels that the medical church has given to expressions of toxicosis in the body. That's all. And the place where the body chooses to express these symptoms are the places that the body chooses itself to express them. The bug does not force the body to express it at these points. The body chooses where it will express the symptoms of its cleansing. There are no systems in the body. There is no lymphatic system. There is no digestive system, and there is no respiratory system. This is the white man's fragmentary thinking, and this type of labeling only exists on paper. What they are defining is how one thing expresses itself into the many. They have ripped you off wholesale by making you believe that when your lungs are the chosen place for the expression of waste, that you somehow have asthma or bronchial problems. So now you have a specialist who is a priest, studied in the lungs and the respiratory tract, to give you the sacraments from the church based upon his learning, based upon his theocratic understanding of how the body temple works. But it's all a farce. It's all a hoax. There is only one thing operating as the many. There are not the many things put together haphazardly to try to find a happy medium called health. Doesn't work like that. The nature and purpose of disease is as follows. A, no other subject invites greater superstition and misinformation than disease. B, every fact you presently retain and refer to about disease is false. Why? Because we do not understand disease. 2, we perceive the weakness and the debility of disease as some form of dangerous, life-threatening condition. 3, we think we have to do something. So we seek treatments. We seek remedies. We seek potions. We seek vitamins. We seek herbs. How many people in here, truthful show of hands, takes the wood root tonic? I rest my case. Does anyone realize, and this is not to defer from what my brothers and sisters are doing, I have to tell the truth where the truth is. Does anyone realize what goes into the making of a tonic? See, all we got to do is hear that, hey, herbs. And the first thing we do is say, hey, it's all right because it's herbs. But I'm writing a book. And I know you're going to say, oh, all right, okay, another one? Yes. It's presently being written at this time. And it's called The Ebers Unveiled. I'm going to blow the lid off of why it is that we as Africans and the Kemetu or the Kemites or the Egyptians had to stoop to these artificial means of numbing their bodies and poisoning their bodies because the whole atmosphere at the time was poisoned. A lot of brothers who study chem and teach chem don't talk about the great atomic war that befell our people when the Neteru went to war and decimated the planet, turned what was green forests in Kemetu into a desert. They don't talk about that. And the Ebers Papyrus speaks about diseases that only atomic radiation can inflict. Nobody is looking at the fact that a pristine people like the Kemetu or the Egyptians, who bathed 3 and 4 times a day, who ate the most vital food, raw food on the planet, all of a sudden began to come up with pustules, burns. The women began losing their children. Huge. They began bleeding with the menstrual cycles that they never did before. Why did this all of a sudden happen? Because a great cataclysm had taken place and the atmospheric conditions that was homeostatic, biostatic, were all destroyed. The atmosphere was destroyed. So that what would keep them healthy, the air, the fire, the water, the earth, everything that would keep them healthy began to degenerate. So the so-called Neteru began to institute what were therapeutic measures, things that they never knew. If you read the beginning of the Ebers Papyrus, the one that's the most common, you'll see that the person says, I am a priest of Ast or Isis, and that he serves in a specific temple, which means that the Ebers Papyrus was written by someone who was given specific types of information of how to extract medicinals from specific things they ignored before. They knew all about it. They studied herpetology and the whole 9 yards, but they never had to deal with them as medicinals before. Only after the great conflict. And we're going to talk about that in the book. But before we get to that point, I'm going to break down what it is that I was inspired to understand and overstand about herbology. Back to the topic. Because we don't know the nature of disease, the primary danger in disease is not the disease itself, but the treatments that we take. The treatments that we take. Disease is body generated. It is body conducted. It is overseen by the body itself. Through the condition of disease, which is called by many various names, the body conducts a cleansing and reparative process upon itself. Disease is never, repeat, never, ever life-threatening. The only time disease becomes life-threatening is when man interferes with a divine process. Disease is a friend. Health and disease is the same thing. Disease is an expression of health. Without disease, you can keel over and drop dead at the first sign of poisoning. And Lord knows the type of things that we eat are poisonous to the body. If the body did not have the ability to adapt to poisonous conditions, we could not live past 1 to 3 generations. Because look at the society we live in now. Look at the air we breathe. Look at the food and the water we drink. This temple of the One Most High is the most magnificent adapter to inimical changes in existence. No other animal on the planet can adapt the way we do, because there are animals on this planet right now that if you change the environment, they will die. They will die. Disease is not life-threatening. Disease is life-enhancing. It is a process by which life, through the divine intelligence that manifests as a result of life, life takes care of itself. Life don't need help from somebody who don't know shit about itself. Life doesn't need any help in the administering of life. Because our people don't understand this cosmic reality, they are frightened into seeking remedies, treatments, and cures. All diseases have cures. They do not appear without a cause. Any physician will admit to this, but they blame diseases on bacteria and viruses. These are the hobgoblins. These are the boogeymen. These are the demons of the medical church. And I call it a medical church because everything in Western medicine is based on a belief system, not science. So when you deal with the term medical science, that's an oxymoron. Because the medicine as it is today has nothing to do with science, because if you deal with the scientific principles, first thing is observation. And you should observe immediately that all the drugs like AZT and all the garbage that you put into the systems of the people that you service should tell you immediately, based on just your Hippocratic oath alone. Hypocrites. As all diseases have causes. Because of this, the people are made to believe that some internal gremlins or microscopic hobgoblins are the cause, and not our life-debilitating, life-threatening behavior. Disease is the result of the body's divine intelligence at work, and is limited to the time and effort necessary to eject life-threatening substances. Cancer is not deadly. Cancer is not the end. Cancer begins to become deadly when you go to see the priest of the medical church. As soon as you see the priest, he begins something called a biopsy. Immediately he has interfered with the package that was created by nature to defend the total organism from the toxins. It localized that poison in the area that was the weakest. And it encrusted it, it encysted it with membrane to protect you. Along comes the educated doctor, and through the principles and sacraments and the tenets of his church, he begins to dig and prod, stick, flail, and cut, burn. It brings me back, before I go forward, when I sat next to Brother Kwame Ture, and myself and about 3 others, I can only mention 2 others, Sister Valerie Shepard and Brother Curtis Cost. I don't know if I can mention the other, but I won't. And we just don't say anything, but we all know who was there. And we sat before this brother as a contingency, diplomats of the grassroots nature healing community. And with all due respect for this warrior prince, we were there to try to save his life. Now, I don't know if you saw the Village Voice article on the one that Brother Noel did, but that was just an infinitesimal thing. as to what the true story was behind that. Here we were sitting next to this brother. I was sitting here, the brother was eating right here, and I was talking to him. Right there in his cup was about 6 to 10 pills. He was fed this disease-promoting food, these starches and meat and milk products. And this is someone who was trying to battle cancer. Now everybody got upset when I called out Dr. Barbara Justice and all the members of the black medical church representatives here who push and flaunt their medical credentials as if it's some form of go and collect $200 each time. And it is a monopoly. A lot of brothers that I thought was my, say, well, why you trashing, Dr. Justice? I ain't trashing Dr. Justice. Sister's trashing herself. You got somebody that's talking about pimples and pustules over your face. Because I remarked that you got pimples and pustules all over your face, does that mean that I caused the pimples and pustules? No, I did not. And why is it that no one is talking about the kind of things that are going on in our community? Huh? The kind of things that we that are trying to service, or at least to try to dispel the ignorance, the fog of ignorance that our people operate under. And I'm the bad guy? Because she has a cadre of people that she went to school with and everybody genuflects at the name Dr. Barbara Justice, no one can speak to the bullshit that's going on in our community? What the hell did Malcolm tell us to do? How is it that all the Negroes who have the letters now have become so pacified? I can't say when something is wrong when I see people walking off a damn cliff. It's time for the people in the intelligentsia, the black intelligentsia, to start listening to the grassroots, the one that they so proudly extol as coming from. We're the ones that keeping it real. We are not making any kinds of conditions to what it is that we have to say. I don't give a damn if somebody don't like what I'm saying. Prove that what I'm saying is wrong. The sister denounced or even devalued her working with Cedric Santaford at the time the brother passed away from AIDS when he came over here. And it was told in big blazing banners that the brother was seronegative. Seronegative means you were healed of your AIDS. Check? But what did the brother die from? Complications due to AIDS. What you found out about the Qumran, what we were trying to tell you, was the Qumran was just as much bullshit as the whole idea around AIDS, but nobody went for it. Now when everybody on the Amsterdam News was touting about going over, big banners, drums playing, hallelujahs and show enough, praises, going over there, Brother Cedric Santaford, and get that healing. Bring it back and show them that we Africans got to show enough flavor. But one little Negro here, sitting over here in 1241, trying to tell people, listen, this is bullshit. And when the brother died, sister denied that she was his doctor. You forgot that, didn't you? It had to be people calling into the station, indignant, saying, how could she dare say that she had nothing to do with that brother? And they stuck his death way back in page 16. I still got that article. I held it. And now nobody wants to deal with Brother Kwame Ture? Now nobody wants to say, well, who was the doctor in charge? Why nobody's saying anything? And I'm the bad guy. I should shut my mouth. Go along to get along. See, when you get in there and get that education, it fucks your mind up. You got all the best of intentions, but you don't want to lose the flavor that comes with your credentials. So you want to make sure you say the right thing. I don't give a shit because I ain't got no damn credentials. I'm just a poor righteous teacher saying what I think to be the truth. I always invite. Let me know if I'm wrong. The next session, I'll retract. I ain't got no money to make off of that. I had to get that out. I was just pissed off with that. Because I was hearing all these calls coming back to me. Why are you trashing Dr. Justice? I ain't trashing Dr. Justice. Get a life. Disease is divine intelligence's work and is limited to the time and effort necessary to eject life-threatening substances. This fact is deliberately overlooked or ignored by both the medical church and the stepchild of the medical church, the so-called New Age or alternative medicine. Instead, these commercially driven professions play upon the public's fear and their ignorance, giving them false information and reassurances. A significant clue to the fact that so-called alternative medicine has been colonized by Western medical methodologies is the fact that A, New Age alternative medicine fragments the body into vitamin targets, and does the medical church fragment the body into pharmaceutical targets. So-called alternative medicine has adapted the Western medical church's fragmentary identification of disease. They even call it asthma, and he wants this, oh, take this is good for asthma. They too segment the body into symptoms, where contrary yet similar to the medical church, they use herbal and vitamin weapons, what they call natural remedies. And 3, the alternative, or they advertise the health in the bottle the very same as the medical church. Now, the body is a unitary temple, one body under divine intelligence, indivisible. To understand the body, we must forget how the European mind has cataloged it for its reference. His description of it and its many parts, its many systems, the organs, are based on his own fragmented mindset. There are no symptoms or systems, organs or vessels, but outer expressions of an integrated whole. This fragmented false view of the body temple begets the misconception that we can apply or assign certain foods or herbs to each fragmented part to cleanse or strengthen that particular area or part. The various physiological systems, that is the nervous system, the muscular system, respiratory system, circulatory system, they only exist as a perception in the Western mind. They exist only as abstracts on paper. They are not real as defined by Western medicine. So we get hooked up in the fragmenting of ourselves, and you go to see a eyes, nose, and throat doctor. You go to see a stomach doctor, gastroenterologist. You go see a respiratory therapist. You go see a butthole doctor. Think about how they have fragmented you up, and just like a cow, like they show you the parts of the beef, they cut you up the same way and put a price tag on each part of you. All the various systems, from the skeletal, the nervous, the digestive, the lymphatic, all do not exist except as abstracts in the Western medical thought. They are nothing more than models on paper. The mouth, the stomach, the large intestines, all exist as part of the human temple. But digestion, assimilation, and elimination of foods and liquids could not occur without the brains and the nervous system. So if you fragment it and think the stomach is working by itself, and you got somebody there working, see, if you go to see a specialist, and the specialist is a butthole doctor, and you got a heart problem, he'll tell you it's your asshole that's the problem. Because that's the only way he can make money. And all of this referrals, doctors say, well, we need another opinion, referral. He gets a kickback from referring you. He gets money. It's a racket. The reason why they diagnose is to identify, to drug you. It is not to operate you on healing or to teach you what to do and not to do anymore. It is to drug you. Which particular prescription the church recommends for this particular ailment. And that's that. Drugs may suspend vital activities so that symptoms seem to disappear, but they do not remove the causes of the symptom. They may kill germs, but they also kill the patient because you are a germ. So when they tell you that germs are attacking you, you're attacking yourself, essentially. Anything that is given to a sick person to reduce symptoms only prolongs the effort of the body to heal itself. Let me repeat that. Anything that is given to a sick person, anything to reduce their symptoms, prolongs the efforts of the body to heal itself. Divine intelligence is at work, using all of the surplus materials that are already existing in the body to heal itself. And whatever does not exist at the time of the so-called sickness, the body creates. The body creates what it needs. It does not need another drug in the form of a herb to stimulate it. You cannot put the whip to a tired horse. And if you do, you may get a spontaneous reaction to the whip because of the pain. But the whip did not give the horse any extra energy. And that is what drugs and that is what herbs do. Now, I'm not dealing with el mea culpas because essentially this is how I was teaching a long time ago. And when I was together with another person, and I don't want to go through it, I wanted to introduce this, but it didn't make any money. We couldn't sustain ourselves, so we had to sell herbs. And then when you get that feeling of things going against you and, you start saying there's something wrong with this, just like I would say juice fasting. Something's wrong with that. That's an oxymoron. So I said, why not juice feasting? So we could feast on juices. No, the Christians know fasting, the Muslim know fasting, so let's just say juice fasting. Drugs, herbs, vitamins, and tonics literally destroy the body's vitality, and this is evidenced by the removal of the symptoms. As soon as the symptoms go, you know that the vitality has been switched from the area of concern to the poison you put in. That's why your symptoms disappear. They disappear because the body's intelligence recognizes a toxic, poisonous substance, something that cannot be interfaced with the whole system, something that does not work in synergy with it. So immediately it shuts down its efforts towards healing you in one direction and tries to immediately save your life in the other. Pain. Lord, we don't like to suffer. Pain is but a signal that you still have the vital force recognizing the deficiency in your body. That's what pain is. It is a signal. It is an indicator of poor action, poor behavior, poor foods. When you have pain, rejoice that divine intelligence is telling you enough. Enough. But I haven't got time for the pain. I haven't got room for the pain. And you go along, oh, I got a headache, but I haven't got time for the pain. You think about it. Now, what you do is you shut the body's effort to alert you down. So now the body, if that's done enough, says, hey, I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no respect. I'm just going to fuck you up another way. So when you got that liver clogged and your eyes is turning yellow and you take a few drugs, oh, the yellow went away. But now your heart acts up. Why? Because the liver cleanses the blood before it gets to the heart. Pain is the alarm signal, a localization of heightened nerve energy. Pain is a localization of heightened nerve energy because the nerves carry the signals, all signals, thought signals, emotional signals, and pain signals. So these signals that you get in the form of pain are simply the localization of effort by the body. Pain is merely a localized manifestation of a general condition. Drugs do not act upon the body temple, and this is famous from Dr. Shelton. Drugs do not act upon the temple acts upon the drugs. You cannot put echinacea into a corpse and bring it back to life. The echinacea is dead. So dead cannot raise the dead. Now you can't put any live thing in there after he's dead either, but you cannot get any vital response. But if you put echinacea and bloodroot and all that stuff into a living body, you get a response. What you mistake is, whoa, I got energy now. Got my bloodroot, I'm going. I'm getting energy from the bloodroot. No, you're not getting energy from the bloodroot. What the bloodroot has done is that it has entered into your body. Your body recognized that it cannot synergize, and therefore vital effort is turned towards getting rid of the bloodroot. In that particular turn of energy, you get a rush. It's an emergency. You ever see a fireman stroll to a fire? No. What happens is your body is marshaling all of its vital forces. It is tapping into its reservoir of vital forces. You see, the science of strength is you do not know what strength is until it is being dissipated. You really don't know how strong you are until you are using your strength. So doctors who have bombarded bodies with chemotherapy, the chemotherapy didn't cause the healing. The body healed in spite of the bombardment. It didn't heal because of the bombardment. Big differences. So the idea that we need a crutch each time we're in pain, we have to address that seriously. Because that's the same as the Christian vicarious atonement that someone else has already saved your ass. You just have to accept that someone, and you good as gold. You good as stepping through the pearly gates. That's the illusion of vicarious atonement. That something else will take care of your troubles for you. It doesn't work like that. Nature Mother is not forgiving. She will not forgive your indiscretions, your poor eating habits, your poor behaviors. But she is not vengeful. She will not return in kind the quality of energy that you did not give to it. So the extent of your abuse dictates the extent of your healing crisis. Check? Now I'm hoping that you're getting all this. Am I going too fast? Because there will be a test later on. We're getting a quiz. What do you want me to say? The very last thing. The extent of your pathological behavior, the duration, the intensity, the level of your poor pathological behavior dictates the body's response, at what level it must respond to deal with that pathological behavior. So if you have been over a period of time, people say, well, I've been eating meat and I'm all right, man. I've been eating that fried chicken, I've been all right. Man, I've been eating that stuff and I'm just fine. Man, I don't know what you're talking about. They may have a heightened level, a heightened reservoir of energy, but sooner or later, the body shows you the extent of the abuse. And then all of a sudden, just keeled over and died. The man used to run 10 miles a day. I couldn't believe it. Now, when you put the herb, when we feel in the form of relief or in extra energy, as the tonics do, what we really feel, again, is the reaction of the body against the herb or against the drug. This reaction is actually a desperate effort on the part of nature to expel or evict the drug, poison, or herbal toxin introduced into the living system. It is the same with all forms of stimulant. They say, this is a stimulant, this is a depressant. Ain't that how they catalog it? Well, a stimulant is a depressant, because once you stimulate the body has to go back into a state of rest to recoup the amount of energy it expelled in the stimulation. So what is the byproduct of stimulation? Depression. So you cannot catalog drugs into depression, depressants or stimulants. It's ridiculous. That's the medical mind, the medical church. When you drink tonics, tonics appear to give strength to the body, but this is a false strength. It is actually the expression of a body in the process of wasting its vital energies. Remember I said to you earlier that the only way you can actually gauge the level or depth of strength is when you are wasting your energy. That's something for you to think about. Again, you do not whip a tired horse or stick your spur into its side. If it does, it will run faster. But who in their right minds would think that the spur supplied the horse with a fresh supply of energy? Food, vitamins, herbal tonics, drugs, none of these can sustain. Now that which did not create you cannot sustain you. And that is the illusion of food. Food does not sustain you. The proof of that is that you could stop eating for 40 days. When the sperm and the egg cell came together, food didn't have nothing to do with that. That is the divine intelligence, the electrons, the micro systems that in that cell, in that egg is a universe. That's a microscopic universe. That ain't got nothing to do with food. The illusion is that food is somehow giving you strength. But you know when you have dinner and you eat food, the best of food, sometimes the first thing you want to do is sleep. That should tell you that food takes energy rather than gives it. The true energy comes from the sun. And in your archetypal bodies, you used to feed directly. That is, directly from the direct menu of God. The direct menu of God is the sun, because without the sun, nothing lives. The sun has the atomic energy that is directly related to the atomic energy that is within the cell. The cell itself is a microcosmic sun. It doesn't need food. Does the sun need to feed? The only thing it feeds from is the divine force that exteriorized it. Life is energy. It's not food. Stimulants do the same to you what the whip did to the horse. Serums, potions, herbal tonics, vitamins, and vaccines do not help us to either avoid disease or eliminate it from the body. If these concoctions do not help us to avoid the causes of diseases, they cannot help us to prevent diseases. Doctors and surgeons can pull teeth, extract tonsils, cut out gallbladders, excise appendixes, slice up ovaries, sever your uterus, drain your sinuses, but none of these procedures removes the causes of your diseases. Cutting out an organ, a tumor, or a cyst, suppressing a symptom with a drug, removing a stone only removes effects. They fail to restore health because A, They do not remove the causes of ill health. B, they are not the factors from which good health is built and sustained. And C, they cause greater injury to the body. The New Age constitutes a cult of cure-minded priests hypnotized by the same remedy rituals of their stepmother, the pharmaceutical cartels. The New Age is what you might call the cure cult. Now here's something I think that you all are going to enjoy hearing. Here are some of the junk foods that are sold to you as health foods. Hey, look, come on. We're family here. I do the same. I got a nipple on the what is it? On my soy. I got a nipple up on my, what do you call it? We all are diseased or hooked in some way. But that's because of the predisposition of the cells. Junk foods sold as health foods are as follows: onions and garlic. Oh, now you're getting ugly. I intend to get uglier, mother. Vitamins and mineral supplements. Cayenne pepper. Blackstrap molasses. Cod liver oil. Bone meal. That's for all you athletes out there. Brewer's yeast. Apple cider vinegar. Honey. Brown and turbinado sugar. Whole wheat products, especially bran and grain, and germ, wheat germ. Herbs, sea salt, dissected liver, herb teas, yogurts, ginseng and ginseng products, miso, tofu, and other fermented soy products, sauerkraut and pickle products, protein extracts, liquids and powders, enzyme, hormone, and amino acid preparations, milk extracts and products. Boy, I know you hate me now. More junk foods that are sold as supplements. Aloe vera extract contains poisonous alkaloids, including a poison called allantoin, A-L-L-A-N-T-O-I-N. Now, I'm telling you these things as a user myself. I want to let you know, hi, I'm Reverend Valentine, and I'm a natureholic. Thank you very much, thank you very much. I want to tell you that it's hard working to try to get rid of all of the New Age sweets and show enough alternative foodstuffs that I've become prey to, but I'm here before you to confess and let you know that it's time that you know as well, so you can make a concerted choice. Comfrey herb contains aloin, A-L-O-I-N, and pyrrolizidine, P-Y-R-O-L-I-Z-I-D-I-N-E. Now, pyrrolizidine causes hepatitis. What it does is it pickles the liver. All right. Chlorophyll byproducts. Once it is extracted from the leaf, it's useless. Because the extraction process is the damaging process. You'll understand that when you group herbs together, whatever's in the leaf, the constituent part of the leaf has its molecular template intact. The molecular template dictates whether it's a cactus or it's a rose. The molecular arrangements, the atomic arrangements tells you how you will be affected if you eat it raw. That's why there are only certain things that you and I were made to eat. Because the molecular configuration, the electron configuration, is based to be in synergistic harmony with your digestive tract. These herbs are not, especially since most herbs don't have any vitamins and nutrients in them to begin with. It does not have the sugar that your body breaks down all foods to utilize. It is an irritant, it is a stimulant. That is what a herb is. Herbs all are toxic and are recommended for their toxic substances. The effects that each one of the herbs that your herbalist tells you to take the herb for is what the toxin does to that area. Now, we have cataloged herbs, thousands of herbs, and we say this is good for the liver, this is an emmenagogue, so it's good for the bile, this is a this and a that. That's because the toxins affect that particular area. Every plant is a living entity, and to protect itself, it now, through evolution, creates its own toxin to protect itself from being eaten by bugs or animals. Certain animals adapt to the toxins. But if you take a bunch of herbs and put them together, boil them, and then extract the product from that, you have a compound, and all compounds are considered drugs. A compound is a drug. Now, I know it's not something that the brothers and sisters want to hear, especially my Rastafarian brothers who deal with the chalice and who deal with the sacred sacrament. But there is a metaphysical part to the hemp that is not being told. That once you smoke the hemp, the particulate matter in the smoke gets into the brain, and there is a female spirit around the specific part of the hemp that is being used. The female spirit gives a specific kind or quality of light. Once it enters in through the lungs, the blood now is forced to give up some of the sunlight that is that particular solar system. That light now is marshaled to the pineal and to the pituitary, and you begin to see great wonders. You escape through doors that you could naturally go through, but you have forgotten because most of your system is in atrophy. You used to leave and come back. You can't do it anymore because man, as it is now, is in a degenerative cycle. The very fact that the Caucasoid has been created out of the original man shows you that we're degenerating. Because even the Caucasoid himself considers himself to be recessive. He is not the dominant strain. He has to be as evil and as wicked and as unfeeling to survive. Just like the lion has a nature, just like the woodchuck has a nature, the Caucasoid has a nature. He cannot live apart and isolated in himself and sustain himself unless he parasites what is living and what is real. And that is his nature. So how can you fault someone of their nature? I don't hate him anymore, now that I know who he is. I empathize because he's sick. And he refuses to see his sickness. There are a few that are waking up to understand the sickness. And there are a few who think they got the idea, but they still have the habits of their teacher. And the fruit don't fall too far from the tree. So when you are dealing with the marijuana plant, you sacrifice the light of your billions of suns so that you can transport, just like I used the peyote at once. Just like mescaline is used, just like the natives use these particular drugs as sacraments to walk through gates of dimensions, dimensional gates, to check out other sides, to talk to ancestors. Bada bing, bada bing. That was done then. We do it so indiscriminately. Now it has no more purpose except to help us escape from the condition that is here and now. We don't escape into anything and bring out anything. We just escape. But in the other days, they used to bring back shit. Tangible shit. We don't do that anymore. So what the female energy does is gives you the light to see in through the glass darkly. But then when that particular toxin is removed from your skin, from your system, it removes the light of your conscious cognizance as well. That's why your memory goes. That's why countless of my brother Rastas come to me and talk about needing certain things so that their impotency can come back, because the THC feeds on fat, and your testicles is a warehouse of fat. So you have all that THC stored in the fat on your brain, and what happens, the THC begins to destroy the very delicate, I don't know if they're called dendrites, synapses and so forth, that connect one nerve to the other and transport information to the other. What happens is the THC gets clogged up in there, and the pulse of electrical thought or whatever can't get to the other side. So sometimes when you're high on that marijuana, you're looking straight ahead. And you wonder why you can't focus. Because like a baby, the reality of the world, there's no definition. You don't remember the definition of that thing. So it's fine, yeah, to escape into it. But what happens is you no longer have a touch of where you are. Spatial differentiation is gone. Your ability to know the difference between spaces. Hey, listen, I'm talking because, hey, I was an ardent user of the chalice. So I know. From tie all the way down. And I'm saying that essentially I get some flashbacks. You know, I start staring. But essentially, that spirit taxes and takes your light. As it gives you light, it takes it away from you again. With one hand it gives, the other hand she takes. She's very seductive. More junk food, acidophilus. Acidophilus is a bacterial strain that ferments milk. It is incompatible with the normal intestinal bacterial flora of black folks. It is quickly expelled after ingestion. Most of us have putrefactive flora because we eat so much shit. We eat so many proteins and combine them that it is necessary for the body to rot the protein to digest it. So rotting, fermentation, and putrefaction helps to bring the body past its inability to digest that substance. So they say, oh God, I have this stomachache and I just can't digest my food. Take some acidophilus. Ferment the crap that's in there. Not realizing that you have specific types, when healthy, you have specific types of intestinal flora that can actually extract the color from food. The Caucasian can't extract color from the food. Your digestive flora can extract color. That's why dark folks need to eat food with color. They're not supposed to be eating refined white bread. They're not even supposed to be eating any type of bread, no matter what is said, because that's a denatured food. But if you're going to eat bread, you should be eating the pumpernickel bread only. And if you want one of the sprouted breads. But if you think about eating anything that's going to create fermentation in your system and putrefaction, then the intestinal flora will not work. We have something that is secreted during digestion called bilirubin. It's the stuff that turns your waste brown. Essentially, we can process the color of our food through the digestive juices and the bilirubin circulating in proper proportion to us. In white folks, they can't get the type of coloring and nutrition from their food. That's why they introduced as much degenerated, refined foods as they did around the world. Everywhere where people of color were, fruits were growing all over the trees. The problem with us was we didn't get conquered based upon the fact that, you know, the white man came. It took thousands of years to get to this condition. And it's only been, what, a couple of thousand now? Not even that, a couple of hundred? We did pretty good. We resurrecting ourselves in consciousness slowly. We did pretty damn good to be even having the memory after Willie Lynch and the introduction of refined foods. Now they're saying that, well, how could it have been refined foods that did it to us? Refined foods did do it to us. Because as soon as they began putting up them Indian stations and began introducing foods to the so-called slaves and so forth, refined foods began to destabilize you and make you crazy. You didn't even know who the hell you were after a while. Refined foods leads to us taking drugs because refined foods sap so much of our nutrient base that we need a stimulant to bring ourselves back around. But the bilirubin in Caucasians has to be recycled over and over in the bloodstream. Anytime you see real blue-eyed Caucasian, that means they have enormous amounts of bilirubin or waste matter in their bloodstream. Cod liver oil. This is a waste byproduct of the fishing industry. It is a toxin in human metabolism. Must be kept away from children. Do not mistake a drug effect for a health effect. Garlic, a highly toxic root that contains indigestible allicin and mustard oil. Same kind of stuff they dealt with the mustard gas. Pectin. This is a cellulose from apples and other fruits. It is totally indigestible because it has been refined and processed. When cooked, it breaks down into and becomes a gel. Pollen, a byproduct of honey gathered by the bees and by man. Everything in pollen is in the fruit that results when blossom. In fruit form, pollen is far more recognizable and utilizable. Pollen lacks glucose and is often contaminated with pesticides. Propolis, bee propolis, called a natural antibiotic, it is sold as a medicinal. It kills your symbiotic intestinal flora. Nearly anything that kills bacteria will cause enormous problems to you. Spirulina is an algae that is almost totally chlorophyll. It is cooked before it is given to or before it is released by the producers so it can be more digestible. It is artificially grown in closed enclosures in Japan, and it is poor in minerals and nutrients. And that's not to say the blue-green algae that comes out of Oregon, because that's something different, though it is of the same ilk. Now, fruits contain by dry weight 90%